Today's show is sponsored by Indie Film Hustle TV, the world's first streaming service dedicated to filmmakers, screenwriters, and content creators.
When the Coens made their debut with Blood Simple, they managed to develop a personal friendship with their sales rep, Jeff Dowd. The brothers were fascinated by Dowd's eccentric character, known throughout LA as a good-natured stoner slacker nicknamed The Dude. Around the time of Barton Fink, they started developing a script inspired by Dowd, supplemented with the character of their other friend, Peter Exline, a Vietnam War veteran whose life story contained several anecdotes that would be incorporated as they wrote. This project, which they dubbed The Big Lebowski, was further influenced by the sprawling structure of Raymond Chandler novels, which tended to weave a densely layered tapestry of the multitude of subcultures that called the City of Angels home, striking a stark contrast to his over-caffeinated motormouth performance in Fargo. An Atlantic accent reminiscent of Jennifer Jason Leigh in The Hudsucker Proxy, for her performance here as the Big Lebowski's aggressively feminist daughter, Maud. Tara Reid plays Lebowski's young gold-digging wife, Bunny, to great effect. Peter Stormare expands on the comically austere personality he developed for Fargo, channeling it into his performance here as the droll leader of a gang of German nihilists. John Turturro marks his return to the Coen set as the purple-clad pederast and bowling fetishist, Jesus Quintana. John Polito also returns in a brief cameo as a sweaty PI following the dude around town. Ben Gazzara, on loan from the John Cassavetes Repertory Players, exudes sleek sleaze as porn producer Jackie Treehorn. And finally, Sam Elliott gives the proceedings a drawling, southwestern flavor in his smoky narration as The Stranger. Roger Deakins cements his relationship with the Coens as their go-to cinematographer by returning to shoot The Big Lebowski, creating a unique blend between 1970s pop western and 1960s mod aesthetics. The 35mm film image is rich with saturated natural colors that brilliantly capture the story's dusty, neon-tinged locales. There's not a huge emphasis on composition within the 185:1 frame, opting instead for a low-key, tighter approach, achieved with slow dolly and crane movements in a bid to emphasize the performances. However, The Big Lebowski does take the time to punctuate the story with some impressionistic flourish, like slow-motion speed ramps, fourth-wall-breaking narration, and highly imaginative dream sequences, which swipe elaborate dance and camera choreography from old Busby Berkeley musicals. Production designer Rick Heinrich's richly detailed work is evident from the first frame, getting the Gulf War era period details right while not screaming period itself. This is due in part to the mix of other anachronistic elements, which gives the film a timeless, bygone era feel that's countered by the character's very modern pathos. While Carter Burwell delivers his 7th consecutive score for the Coens here, The Big Lebowski's true musical identity stems from the contribution of rock legend T-Bone Burnett, who compiled the eclectic mix of cowboy country, classic rock, art pop, and soul ballads that give the film its distinct, timeless character. T-Bone works with the Coens to create a different musical motif for each character, the most memorable of which being the Gypsy Kings cover of Hotel California to underscore the Jesus' lewd hip gyrations. The success of their first collaboration here would lead to many more efforts in subsequent films, making T-Bone a vital collaborator in the Coens' filmography. Like many of their previous works, the Coens further imbue the film with their distinct stamp by editing The Big Lebowski under their pseudonym Roderick James, in collaboration with Tricia Cook. If Fargo was evidence of the Coens' mastery of a starker, Peckinpah style aesthetic, then The Big Lebowski balances the dichotomy with a prime example of their zanier, Buster Keaton-inspired side. The film is a quintessential example of their wry sense of humor, which tends to highlight the absurdity of wealth and power by aligning the audience's perspective with members of the common class. This conceit is further underscored by the Coens' decision to set the film in the San Fernando Valley, away from the glitz and glamour of elitist Hollywood or Beverly Hills. That physical distance also allows for a remove from temporal immediacy, an opportunity that Joel and Ethan take advantage of by incorporating the distinct iconography of stale mid-century Americana at every turn. Retro-flavored bowling alleys, greasy diners, fast food burgers, Corvettes, and striking architectural structures. Just as much as the overt stylistic elements, The Big Lebowski distinguishes itself as a Coen Brothers film by what it omits, namely, explicit instances of social commentary. Subtext-obsessed critics have written reams about what they perceive to be veiled critiques of social political constructs and ideologies, like Walter's neocon leanings.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
But in true Coen fashion, Conclusive evidence for such claims proves to be elusive, and, like the kidnapping plot that drives the film, is ultimately irrelevant to the larger cosmic narrative. Unlike Fargo, The Big Lebowski was initially met by most audiences with confusion and disinterest upon its release. It did modest business at the box office, grossing just above its $15 million budget, but the mixed reviews from critics, who just prior had showered Fargo with raving plaudits, imprinted the Coens' latest effort with a distinct whiff of failure. Their vision was so unique and eclectic that most people didn't know what to make of it. They did know, however, that it possessed an undeniable magnetism. That same magnetism would serve the film well in the home video aftermarket, where a cult following slowly amassed as tapes and DVDs were circulated amongst taste-making cinephiles. While most of the Coens' films have found their own devoted fan followings, The Big Lebowski stands heads and shoulders above the rest with its own distinct subculture. Replete with annual events like Lebowski Fest, and even a pseudo-religion called Dudism, or the Church of the Latter-day Dude, which boasts a membership of over 220,000 ordained Dudist priests. All of this appreciation would eventually culminate in one of American cinema's highest honors, an induction into the National Film Registry in 2014 that would ensure its preservation as a nationally important cinematic work alongside its sister film Fargo. These two films represent the crystallization of the particular aesthetic that would drive the Coens' unique influence on not just the cinematic landscape, but pop culture as a whole. While Joel and Ethan have gone on to achieve even greater heights in their professional endeavors, Fargo and The Big Lebowski's personal importance as breakout works that delivered them into the mainstream cultural consciousness cannot be understated. They have long since transcended best of the 90s status, having passed on to a higher plane that, if the ongoing Lebowski Fest and the smash success of Fargo's translation to a prestige television series are any indication, will ensure their deep imprint on the zeitgeist for a long time to come.
What if there was a platform that you could access everything? Hundreds of hours of content, accessed globally. Interviews with legends, online courses and tutorials, feature films and documentaries, all in one place. What does it cost? Next to nothing.